So today we're going to go over some relationship advice from another TikTok post that went viral a couple of months ago. And I'm excited because I love talking about relationships. I've been with the same person for 8 years. We've never broken up. And I'm not trying to say that relationships aren't hard or that we haven't been through things, because we have, but we've never broken up. The only time we went without talking to each other was when either one of us went on a cruise with like our families and we couldn't talk. But other than that, we have been in a very healthy relationship. And I say healthy because we have never cursed each other out, like calling each other names. We've never put our hands on each other. And that's kind of setting the bar low, to be honest. But I just say we're a healthy relationship because we're very great at communicating with each other. And we both have been like healthily growing in our own ways, and it's helped our relationships become better, or our relationship become better. So there are 5 things that I want to tell you guys about that I've learned from my relationship. And like I said, I don't know everything. I'm only 25, but I would say that the fact that we've been together for so long and we're just getting started, we just got married, we're about to hit 1 year of marriage in 2 months. I believe that we have something to say and that we can help other people who are younger, who may be in long relationships like us, or who are just getting together and thinking about getting married. Just want to give you guys some things to think about and maybe see how these can kind of relate to you in your relationship, to grow, to become better, and just make the relationship more fruitful and lasting. So I have 5 points, and like I said, these are all from a TikTok that I posted that people loved and enjoyed. So I wanted to kind of do a long form video just to kind of hit on these things a little bit. Going to try not to make this super long. So the first one, it says, learn your partner and their background. Understanding why they do certain things will allow you to be more graceful and forgiving. So me and my husband, we have different backgrounds. We were raised very differently. We are from the same hometown. We're from different areas of town. And like I said, we grew up differently, so we see the world differently. And the fact that like I'm a man, he's a woman, so that plays a role as well. But what really helped us to accept each other was learning our backgrounds and learning why we do certain things. So like, for example, me being hyper independent in the past, he learned that it was because of, how I was raised with my parents and just like the environment that I grew up in. They kind of pushed me to be in survival mode, and allow him to be a little bit more graceful with me in the terms of giving me time to heal and just giving me time to really learn what that meant for me and learn like how to really become the woman that I see myself as. And so you want to just learn them and not just take things at face value, because a lot of times things are not what they seem, and we all operate based on our own experiences and how we see the world. And how we see the world is based on our experiences and what we know. So it's important that you give your partner some grace by taking the time to learn their background, ask some questions, get around their family, if you can, and just try to have an open mind about who they are and like why they may see things a certain way, because it's never the surface, it's never just what they tell you. It's usually deeper meanings behind it. And honestly, I think it's your job to learn that so that you can, one, understand your partner's family, and also understand your partner on a deeper level, and just grow closer to them, and also just overall becoming more knowledgeable about why we all do things as a race, or as, I'm not going to say a race, or say like a human race, but just as humans, we all do things based on, like I said, our worldviews and our experiences. So just keeping an open mind and forgiving them for their mistakes, but of course having those boundaries and setting up, I don't want to say time limits, but wanting to see your partner actually like heal and not just stay there healing, but actually holding them accountable and helping them to break some of those narratives and those mindsets that they thought were right but aren't right, because they're either making you feel a certain way, or also just you're seeing that it's not being fruitful in their own lives. And so just hold them accountable. And the only way you can hold them accountable is if you are aware and if you actually take the time out to learn them and get to the deeper root of things. So the next one is very important. Me and my partner, we've done this since day one. So talk about the future and family values often. I believe there should be alignment in most areas. In parentheses, I have finances, children, religion, etc. Or it would be difficult to make hard decisions as a couple. So believe it or not, it is very easy to have conflict in your relationships because you may not have the same religious views. Maybe you guys do finances so differently. Maybe one wants to have kids, the other one doesn't. And I could just speak from my experience. Me and my husband, we do finances so differently, and it has caused like some issues. Even just like since we got married, because we just see things so differently, we do things differently, and so we've had to communicate a lot and help each other become better with our finances, but also learning how we can come together in a way where we bring my strengths and weaknesses and his strengths and weaknesses and make it into one. Another thing is kids. We both want kids, but just understanding what that means. You know, a lot of people want to raise their kids differently. Maybe one person wants to homeschool, the other one wants to do private school. These are things that are very important because it can kind of weed out, you know, whether you guys will work or not, because some people feel so strongly about something and they won't like make any type of what's the word I'm looking for? Can't think of the word I'm looking for. Oh, compromises. Some people won't compromise on their way of doing things or how they want to do things, and that's not good. And so you want to make sure that you're talking about these things a lot. Not saying you need to have a daily meeting, but just like talking about real life things more than talking about BS. So like I said, finances, religion, spirituality, how you want to do your household, dealing with family members. You know, maybe one person, they exert like 80% of their time into their family, but the other person doesn't. That was kind of the thing with me and him. Like, I was someone who was like overly invested with my family, and he really isn't. And he allowed me to see like, okay, I'm doing too much. I really need to take a step back and like allow them to be and focus on what I have here at home. So just talk about family values and just important life things early on, like I said, because it'll help you see if like you guys will actually work, or just go ahead and start making some of those compromises together and just being open to seeing the other person's point of view. Okay, if I had to rate all of these, this would be number 1. Personal growth and healing through trauma is mandatory. We are products of how we were raised and the experiences we've had. Your triggers, reactions, and communication styles are usually rooted in trauma, and these things affect relationships the most. Working on yourself equals working on the relationship. I can honestly say the reason why me and my husband have been together so long is because we work on ourselves individually. Me and him are both like hard workers, and we're both ambitious, but we're also very in tune with our spirit, and we're very just very persistent about growing and becoming better. And so because we've worked on ourselves, because we want to see ourselves be better, it has helped our relationships become better. So because I want to grow as a woman and becoming that woman that I see myself as, it's helped me to become a better wife. And so when you work on yourself, you are working on your relationship. And that's why I mentioned earlier, like, it's important to learn your partner's background, but it's also important to learn your background and understand why you do or say certain things. For example, for me, like, I know that I have a bad attitude and a smart mouth because my mom has a bad attitude and a smart mouth. My dad used to have a bad temper and still is very sarcastic. So like, knowing that like helped me to say like, okay, I need to like not let that be my reality and not let that be my story. It may have been in the past, but it doesn't have to be that anymore. So don't make your growth only about the relationship. Make it about you wanting to become the best version of you. I always say like, it's great to do things to make the system better or to make other people better, but you should want to become better for your own self before God. So like, when you focus on your own growth and your own inner work and healing, it won't have a choice but to show up physically and externally. So do the inner work, go to therapy, read the books, start going to the gym, start eating healthy, start drinking your water, start meditating, start doing those things that are good for your spirit and good for your own well-being and watch it show up in your relationships. But a lot of relationships fail because we focus so much on a relationship versus our own self. We focus so much on the other person versus our own self. So you got to learn how to take accountability for your actions and your mindsets and your worldviews, and figure out how you can rewire your brain, which is basically changing the way you think, changing the way you see things. And you do that by repetition, by feeding your mind things that are positive, educating yourself, listening to those podcasts and videos that help you to think differently and see things differently. Just changing your whole routine, changing your systems and your rituals. And so once you start doing those things, you won't have a choice but to grow and change, and it will not do anything but make your relationships better, whether that's your romantic relationships, your familial relationships, your work relationships. Everything will start to become better because you are changing who you are on the inside and becoming your authentic self. So if you don't want your relationship to flourish, work on yourself. Don't wait until relationship's over and then start going to the gym and getting into your Bible and things like that. That is so corny. You need to do that before and while you're in your relationship, because it will have a huge impact on you, like I said, your own growth, but also just on all the relationships that you will have for the rest of your life. I actually just watched this happen with somebody I know. They changed who they were for their relationship, and as soon as their relationship was over, they went back to their old self. So that's why you can't base it on their relationship. You need to base it on the fact that you want to become better for yourself, not for the other person. Okay, the next one, and this is probably one of the top reasons why our relationship has flourished as well. We both are good at this. So don't take relationship advice from people who have never been in a healthy relationships. Friends, family, or romantic. So what I mean by that is people who don't have good friendships, people who are always beefing with their family, and people who are always beefing with their partners, or who are miserable in life. It just doesn't make sense to, and they will unconsciously come from a hateful or negative perspective. You don't want the energy to influence your relationships. This is needless to say. This is also goes with like being a private person. My husband and I, we're very private anyway in our own personal lives, but we're also private about our relationship. But we also do not go to other people who are not married or not in good relationships for relationship advice. You cannot give me relationship advice if you are literally fighting your partner physically every single day, or if y'all are breaking up every week. You're not going to see things from my perspective, because I see things from a healthy, high level perspective. I want to figure out the best way to deal with a situation with my partner that will cause the least amount of friction. I'm not going to call somebody who's going to be like, girl, slash his tires. Girl, leave him. Like, no, I need someone who's going to give me some well thought out ways of dealing with something, but also someone who will call me out on my stuff. Don't call people who are just going to be a yes man, who are just going to tell you what you want to hear. And low key, you also don't want to ask people, because you don't want to ask people who may be envious of your relationship. So they may purposely give you bad advice because they want to see your relationship fail. Sorry to say that, but it's just the truth. So be intentional about who you are getting relationship advice from, even on this internet stuff. I even tell my husband, he's always telling me like, oh, so-and-so said this on Instagram. Okay, that's cool and all, but we got to be very intentional about who we're getting relationship advice from, even with like how people operate in their relationships. I have a certain couple in our life. They're really close to us. The husband is always trying to give us relationship advice, and I'm just like, I don't think I would want to take relationship advice from him, because their relationship could be a lot better, and like he's the reason why the relationship isn't that good. So be very intentional about who you're taking relationship advice from. Don't just go to anybody. Don't go to people who are just not doing well in life, period, who are very pessimistic, who are very negative. It just literally does not make sense too. And that may be hard, because you may be the only person in your circle, in your family, who's in a healthy relationship, and that's where you can kind of use the internet to your advantage and find some couples who you think may be, giving out some real knowledge, some real gems, relationship wise. And if you guys ever need some ideas, I have a couple of people who I can go to on social media, not like actually go to them, but like they post relationship content. I can kind of give you guys some people that I do watch, so let me know if you want that in the comments. But yeah, don't take relationship advice from people who are not in healthy relationships. And like I said, not just romantic. I'm talking about their friendships, how they treat their family, how their family is treating them, and people who are always in drama and in chaos. It just literally doesn't make sense to. Okay, last one, and this is very, very important. If your person calls you out on something, don't respond by bringing up what they do wrong. Take accountability for your actions and work together to solve the problem. You want your person to be able to express how they feel without it automatically being flipped on them. This goes along with learning how to communicate. Address your issues at your own time. That is one of the top things that I had to learn, because whenever he would call me out on something, I would be like, well, what about when you do this? And it's just like, okay, but it's not about me. This is about you and how you make me feel. It's just a very selfish and individualistic thing to do. And it also keeps you from being held accountable, and it keeps you from being able to address the issue at hand. So like I said, this is a huge communication thing because we do it so unconsciously. We don't even realize that we're like flipping a script and we are taking the pressure off of us, but that's what we're doing. Our subconscious mind is wired to keep us safe, and so we will do and say things that are so normal to us, but we don't realize that it's actually doing us more harm. So it's quick for you to like try to defend yourself or try to make it about the other person, because you don't want to feel that resistance in your body of, oh, this makes me feel uncomfortable. Oh, this makes me feel like I'm doing something wrong. But hey, that's a part of life. That's a part of growing and healing, is being accountable for how you make other people feel, and being accountable for some of those toxic patterns that you may have. So if you really want your relationship to grow and thrive, become a great communicator. Make that one of your top things that you want to work on, and learn how to take accountability. And when your partner comes to you about an issue, do not bring up what they do wrong. Only focus on that issue at hand. Even if you say, well, I did that because you said da da da. No. Get to the root of the problem, but do it in a way that you are working together and you're not working against your partner. It's you and your partner against the problem, not you against your partner. And that's like one of the top things that I had to learn. So I hope you guys can take some relationship advice. Like I said, I'm not an expert. I'm not a relationship counselor, but I am really great at seeing things for what they are and going to the deeper root of things. And it's something that me and my husband both enjoy doing, and we both are very like intentional about our growth, like I said. So yeah, this is just some things that we learned. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will be coming back with more relationship advice. Thank you so much for watching.